This is a game number 3, and Gukesh begins with d4. We have the queen's gambit declined, and he takes on d5, the exchange variation. Knight c3, c6, and here usually white plays bishop to g5. But now black can develop his bishop on f5, queen b3, knight d7, queen takes, rook b8, queen takes on c6, then a rook b2, and black has a very good compensation. He wants to play bishop to b4, queen a5, and maybe rook c2 at some point. That's why Gukesh plays queen to c2, to prevent bishop f5 move. Well, g6 makes sense. Black still wants to play bishop to f5. h3, bishop f5, and queen b3, hitting the pawn. Queen b6. Well, white doesn't want to take the queen, because the endgame is much better for black. He has a very clear plan. He wants to complete development, and then play on the queen side, because he has an open file and his rook is pretty active here. g4, but now black can take the queen, and Dean took the queen, and bishop c2. The pawn is under attack and white defends it indirectly. Now if bishop takes, then knight d2, bishop goes back to c2, then rook c1, and the bishop is trapped. So the only move here is bishop to c4, but then white takes, e3, hitting the pawn, b5, bishop g2, and bishop e5. If king to e7, then g5, and white wins. So that's why Dean plays h5. Takes, knight d7, knight d2 to defend the pawn. Now the bishop is in trouble. White still wants to win the bishop. So black played rook g8. It looks a bit weird, because the bishop is in trouble. So why did he go here? What's the idea behind this move? But the idea is, after rook c1, black can simply play g5, hitting the bishop, has to run away, and then bishop goes to h7, and it's not trapped. g5, but after g5, bishop has the f5 square. Knight h5, runs away. Rook goes back to h8, because this is a perfect square on the open file. f3. Knight g7. Bishop, and the knight goes to the strong square on f5. Bishop g3. Here black made a huge mistake. A good move would be bishop to e7, hitting the pawn. White has to defend. Bishop f2. And now black has to move his bishop, because it's in trouble. It's almost trapped. So a very good move is bishop to f5. Then e4, bishop e6. And black completes development, goes king d7, and his position even better. Black can play for a win. Well, but in this position black made a huge mistake. He played rook h5, and after e4 he realized that the bishop is trapped. So black took, knight e6. The last hope for black was to play knight e6 straight away, hitting the pawn. After rook c1, knight takes, defending the bishop, then bishop f2 to remove the guard. Well, bishop c5, takes. White has no time for rook c2 because his rook is under attack. Plays rook g2, the bishop is still trapped. And here, the bishop is trapped, and black has to give it up. He takes on b3. Knight takes, and a5. The position is much better for white, but still not easy to convert, because black has an outside passed pawn, and it's a pretty strong pawn. So still, it's not easy to convert. But black made one more mistake. He took on f4 first, and then played knight e6. Rook c1 takes here, bishop g7, and white made a brilliant move, knight to e2. Because if he takes the knight, then bishop e2, the rook is under attack and the bishop is still trapped. So the only move is knight to b3. Rook takes, and white's up a piece, and there's a huge difference between this position and the previous one, because black has no passed pawn, so it's much easier for white to convert. Knight e5, threatening knight f3. Okay, just a few moves. White needs to solidify his position. He want to keep it simple. He want to trade the pieces off. That's his plan. Knight f3 to get rid of all the pieces. Takes. Rook h1. And white wins by force. Bishop h3. If rook d8, then simply bishop h4. So black had to play f5, but now bishop f4, rook h5, and Gukesh delivers the final blow. Bishop to f5. Here, if pawn takes, then rook h5. If rook h1 instead, then bishop d7 first check, king takes, and rook h1. That's why Dean resigned, and Gukesh won the first game. GG.